Okay, we have a new parliament building, but we will also get a new law this week that could change the face of parliament. The opposition, though, has its questions, and those questions and the answers, hopefully, will come on the news today. The 9 headlines at 9 first. The historic Women's Quota Bill to bring in 33% reservation for women in Lok Sabha state legislative assemblies introduced in the new parliament will be debated tomorrow. Credit war breaks out over the Women's Quota Bill. Sonia Gandhi says Congress introduced the Quota Bill first. Home Minister Amit Shah hits out, says women's quota just tokenism for the Congress. Question mark now if bill will be implemented any time in the near future. India has finally transitioned to the new parliament building with a symbolic march led by Prime Minister Modi to the new Sansad, old parliament to be called Samvidhan Sadan. India and Canada now in a diplomatic war. Canada Prime Minister Trudeau claims India's hand in killing of a Khalistani extremist Rajdeep Singh Nijjar. Ottawa expels a top Indian diplomat. India retaliates by expelling a Canadian envoy, dismisses the Canadian charges. Security forces avenge the death of Anantnag Braves. Lashkar commander Uzair is killed after 7 days of an anti-terror operation. Amidst protests in Karnataka against Kaveri water release for Tamil Nadu, sources tell India Today Chief Minister Siddaramaiah will lead an MP's delegation to the centre to convey Karnataka's own water requirements. As Kerala begins mass testing amidst the Nipah virus outbreak, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan directs a survey and study, says ICMR not giving a clear reason why Kozhikode is Nipah epicenter. More trouble now for TDP Chief Chandrababu Naidu. CID files a third graft case against Naidu in an alleged 120 crore rupee FiberNet scam. Twitter chief Elon Musk set to bring in more changes to the social media platform, says all users could be charged a subscription fee next. But first to the big story that's breaking at the moment. The Lok Sabha's debate on the Women's Quota Bill will be for 7 hours tomorrow. 7 hours now allotted for the Women Quota Bill that was introduced in Parliament that promises 33% reservation in Lok Sabha and state assemblies. Remember, Prime Minister Modi today spoke about it, but tomorrow we are now told Sonia Gandhi, the former Congress president, will lead the Congress debate in the Lok Sabha. Remember, Mrs. Gandhi has claimed she is the one who has been pushing the Women's Reservation Bill all these years. So tomorrow it will be the turn of Sonia Gandhi to take the stage, center stage, by speaking in the opposition reply. She hasn't spoken for a long time in Parliament. Sonia Gandhi tomorrow, it was Prime Minister Modi today. The stage therefore set for the passage of the historic, contentious Women's Reservation Bill. In fact, the first Lok Sabha session in the new Parliament starting with that news. The Prime Minister announcing that the Women's Reservation Bill had been cleared by the Parliament and will be taken up. 27 years since it was first tabled, it could be a milestone moment. But, and there is always a but, the fact is this bill will become law now, but will be implemented only after the delimitation exercise expected to be complete sometime in 2026 or 2027 is over, which means the earliest we could get women's reservation in a general election could be 2029. The opposition is crying foul. The BJP is saying, Modi hai to mumkin hai. Listen in.
नारी शक्ति वंदन अधिनियम इसके माध्यम से हमारा लोकतंत्र और मजबूत होगा.
The suspense is over. The Narendra Modi government has brought the Nari Shakti Vandan Bill or the Women's Reservation Bill to the Lok Sabha. Prime Minister Modi broke the news making his first speech in the new Parliament building on Tuesday, which also happened to be Ganesh Chaturthi.
आज आज जब महिलाएं हर सेक्टर में तेजी से आगे बढ़ रही हैं, नेतृत्व कर रही है, तो बहुत आवश्यक है कि नीति निर्धारण में, पॉलिसी मेकिंग में हमारी माताएं, बहनें, हमारी नारी शक्ति अधिकतम योगदान दें।
The bill tabled by Law and Justice Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal reserves 1/3 of seats in the Lok Sabha and state assemblies for women. 1/3 of seats under SC/ST quota will be reserved for women. The law, once passed, will come into effect after the delimitation is complete. The delimitation exercise will take place after the census is done. The reservation will be in place for 15 years.
अटल जी के कार्यकाल में कई बार महिला आरक्षण का बिल पेश किया गया, कई बार, लेकिन उसे पार कराने के लिए आंकड़े नहीं जुटा पाए और उसके कारण वो सपना अधूरा रह गया। ईश्वर ने ऐसे कई पवित्र काम के लिए मुझे चुना है।
इनकरेक्ट है।
Both BJP and Congress are seeking credit for the women's bill, which has been hanging fire for nearly 3 decades.
महिला आरक्षण 1989 में जब राजीव जी प्रधानमंत्री थे, तब स्थानीय निकायों के चुनाव में उन्होंने 1/3 आरक्षण महिलाओं के लिए सुनिश्चित किया था। तत्पश्चात कांग्रेस की सरकारों ने लगातार प्रयास किया कि महिला आरक्षण का बिल पास हो।
9 मार्च 2010 में राज्यसभा ने इसको पास किया। उसके बाद राज्यसभा ने कम्युनिकेट किया लोकसभा को, और जब रिपोर्ट किया तो लोकसभा के सेक्रेटरी जनरल जब इसको रिपोर्ट किया तो ये लोकसभा की प्रॉपर्टी बन गई। और 15वीं लोकसभा जैसे ही भंग हुई, अध्यक्ष जी, 15वीं लोकसभा जैसे ही भंग हुई 18 मई 2014 को, ये बिल भी लैप्स हो गया।
Earlier, Sonia Gandhi had called the proposal law a UPA product.
Women's Reservation Bill finally is coming. Women's Reservation Bill.
With both BJP and Congress backing women's quota, the bill is expected to be passed without much trouble. But the quota will not come into effect till delimitation happens, which means it is ruled out for the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. With Polumi Saha, Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, my first guest on this big topic is K. Kavita, the BRS MLC. She is among those who has been writing to the Prime Minister calling for 33% reservation, even went on a one-day fast. K. Kavita, do you feel vindicated today, or do you feel as if the Prime Minister has taken the political ground under your feet? The BJP is taking all the credit now.
Let them take all the credit. I just hope the bill passes without any trouble, both in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. And I truly hope that this bill will immediately come into force. In fact, for the next election, in which the first 5 states, including Telangana, will go to polls, I really hope it can be implemented right now. This government has that kind of majority, and they can do it if they want. So instead of making the women wait for next 5 years, I strongly demand that the Bharatiya Janata Party take a step forward and make sure that the bill is implemented right away. Because if there is no census that was done in 2021, we can always base 2011 as the census and take it up. Nothing is stopping the government from doing that. And number of times in number of issues they have taken 2011 as the base census. So I demand the Bharatiya Janata Party government, and I request to Modi ji that kindly take it up. Please make sure that in the upcoming elections in the first 5 states and upcoming Lok Sabha election, give us chance.
No, because the bill in its present form makes it very clear that it will come up only post delimitation. Most believe, K. Kavita, that the delimitation freeze will end only in 2026. So you're saying forget about that. You're calling for the bill to be immediately implemented as of the elections to take place in the next 3 months and the Lok Sabha next year. Am I correct? You're saying remove the clause about delimitation.
It is absolutely. Absolutely. It is, Rajdeep ji, it is immediately possible to have this 33% women reservation, and delimitation will anyway happen in 2026, wherein number of seats will be increased, etc. That's a different story. But in the existing format for the existing seats, if you base the census of, if you take the baseline census as 2011 census, 33% can be immediately implemented for this upcoming elections. That is a possibility that the government should immediately explore. That is what I am demanding for.
You know, the fact though, K. Kavita, is people will say that the BRS is being hypocritical. K. Kavita also is saying one thing but is not walking the talk, because when it came to actually the seat ticket distribution in your own party, your leader, K. Chandrasekhar Rao, has given tickets to 114 out of the 119 seats of Telangana election, November, December. There are barely less than 10% of them are women. So if you wanted the political party, your political party could have given 33% tickets. You don't do that. Now you are looking for reservation.
Absolutely, because political parties do not do that, including my party. I have never been shy about it. Any political party in this country has not given more seats than the BRS party, except Naveen Patnaik ji and Mamta Didi, and when Madam Jayalalitha was alive, she was the one. So only 3 chief ministers have taken this initiative, and many parties did not do it for various reasons. BRS is one among them. There is no going back on that word, and that is specifically why. And the statement that I have made now is BRS party's official statement. That is what our MPs are going to also talk about in the parliament tomorrow. So we demand BRS, as BRS party, not as just K. Kavita, that let this bill be implemented for this upcoming elections itself. If the BJP is really sincere, they can do it. They can make it happen. They don't have to wait,
No, but it will take time, ma'am. 1 minute.
Bill, try to get women's vote now. Do it after.
No, ma'am, but it will take time to decide which are the 33% seats which will have women reservation. It can't be done overnight.
Rajdeep ji, it can be done. You have to just press one button on the computer. You will immediately know which are the constituencies which have more women voters. Simple as that. So today, using the technology, it is not as hard as we think it is. 2011 census is completely digitized census. We can immediately access the data. Immediately it can be done. The political will is the only thing that is stopping the current government from doing it. So you can, in fact, right now, Rajdeep, go on to the website and check, the census, the population. Many seats are, there are more women voters in many constituencies. So out of that, top 33% can be picked up.
But can I ask you in conclusion that is this all about credit taking?
It is just a matter of political
is it all about competitive credit taking? You want to take credit saying that you did a one-day dharna, that you have written to the Prime Minister. The BJP is saying, look at Prime Minister Modi, he's the one who's taken initiative. Sonia Gandhi is saying, ye hamara bill hai. I mean, this seems to be all the parties rushing to take credit for the woman voter that you forgot. You yourself are admitting that political parties are male dominated. Now they're all rushing to take credit for the bill.
Yes, precisely. When the bill is coming up, they are all rushing to take the credit. They will. Political parties are like that. In fact, when I started the dharna, everybody blamed me saying, see, she's only doing a dharna for various other reasons. But I continued doing it. Continuously, I started raising this issue in the 6 months. You've seen me number of times writing letters, taking up the issue, keeping the issue alive. It is good that the government is finally coming up and doing it. In the 9.5 years, BJP itself has put it in the manifesto. And Congress party, look at their hypocrisy. When Indira ma'am was there, nobody thought about it. They brought in the local body reservations, did not bother to, bring women into assemblies and parliament. Sonia ma'am was there. She introduced it in Rajya Sabha. She could have done it in Lok Sabha as well. Because after passing it in Rajya Sabha, they were still in power for 4 more years. They did not do it. In the last 16 years, they forgot about it. In fact, they were so careless in their last manifesto, last election manifesto, Congress party, did not even mention the women reservation bill. Now today they want to call it Apna bill, Hamara bill. Fair enough. Everybody has done their share. But don't you think, Rajdeep, in the last 75 years, women were denied their fair share in the political representation? When there is a possibility, why should we wait for 5 more years is what I am saying. And other thing, Rajdeep ji, as a party's stated stand, I want to reiterate that OBC bill should also be immediately implemented, so that the women bill of 33% quota for OBCs also will be given among the women candidates. This has been our demand from past 10 years, not now.
Okay. So you're saying women's reservation
as a
bill to
party
be implemented
had
right
passed
away.
assembly
You want OBC reservations also within the quota of 33%, a certain percentage to be reserved for OBC. Let's leave it there. K. Kavita, you are someone who has every right today to say, I'm among the few who kept it going in the last few months by being high profile over it. Appreciate your joining me here on the news today. Thanks very much. K. Kavita of the BRS joining me. Let's raise the big question. Is this therefore a day to celebrate for Nari Shakti or women power, or is it a political jumla as some opposition MPs are calling it? Is the battle now on to take credit for women's bill? Narendra Modi versus Sonia Gandhi. When will the implementation of the bill actually take place? Will this bill truly empower women, or will male politicians still call the shots? Just some of the questions. Lalita Kumaramangalam is a BJP member and a former chairperson of the National Commission for Women. JB Mathur is a Congress MP in the Rajya Sabha. Maua Maji, interesting, Jharkhand Mukti Morcha MP. This is one of the parties that has not fully endorsed the bill. And Tara Krishnaswamy, co-founder, Citizens for Bengaluru and Political Shakti. Appreciate all of you joining us here on the show tonight. Let me turn to you, Lalita Kumaramangalam, right away. Do you believe that this bill should be implemented right away? The government has said it will be done after delimitation is complete. Now, that could take years. And therefore, while you make these announcements and make it a law, it will take years to implement.
Rajdeep, it's not what I believe. I wish it could be implemented immediately, but practically it's impossible. To take the 2011 census as the basis for it, it's just not practical. We've had a lot of demographic changes in the country. Population has grown by leaps and bounds, and different states have different percentages of not just the growth in population, rate of growth of population, but many other differences. There is also the demand for OBC to be included, the OBC quota to be included in the quota, not just SC/ST, as has been written down in this bill. Now, to expect it to be done without delimitation being complete would really be rushing things, because then again, when delimitation occurs, which it will, it's inevitable it will, there will again be another scramble for which seats to be given back to women or back to men, and then some given to be women. It gets very confusing for not just the government, more so I think for the Election Commission, both at the central and the state levels. I'm sure the EC has also been consulted in this regard. But like I say, as an activist, I'd love it to have been done even 25 years ago. Unfortunately, it wasn't. To call it a jumla is unfair.
No, 1 minute, ma'am.
1 minute, just one more point.
Yes.
One more point, Rajdeep.
Yes.
To call it a jumla is unfair, Rajdeep, because not every, except for 2 or 3 parties, everybody has been supportive of it, and we have patriarchy across the board in every party. Let me be brutally frank here. So I don't think it's a jumla. The PM has been smart enough to introduce the bill at a time when he knows it will be passed through both houses of parliament. And once it's passed, almost no party will be able to then turn around and say, that, we cannot support it. The bill has cannot be done in this form, etc., etc. So jumla is not a fair word to use.
Okay.
But I would like to congratulate every woman from across every party who has worked for this. And I have seen it being done well before I became NCW chief, where women from every party, Sushma ji, Brinda Karat, Sheila Dikshit, I mean, the name kids can go
Geeta
on,
Mukherjee. Don't forget the great Geeta Mukherjee, CPI leader. She was one of the pioneers of this bill.
I don't take her name because she's actually my mother's aunt. So it looks like I'm boasting personally, which I don't want to do. But yes, we used to call her Chhot Dida. She was one of the prime movers of the bill. So what I'm trying to say is that across parties, women have worked very hard to see this come to fruition.
Okay.
And I'm very, very glad that finally this time the bill will be passed.
Okay.
There will be a delay in its implementation, which a lot of women regret. But the bill will be passed. And that is the most important step forward, because finally there is hope that women will get a chance to participate in decision making. This should have come many, many years ago. But finally now, when it is implemented, women will get their chance,
Okay.
both at the assembly and at the center. And we must learn from what's happened in the panchayats. Women have done brilliantly across panchayats across the country. And this is what will be reflected. It'll take 5-10 years perhaps for it to, to come into data and stuff like that. But I'm sure Tara, my friend Tara, will give you, she has much more data on hand than I have, will give you the data, will prove to you that this is a fantastic step forward.
Can I just stop you for a moment? I can
Yes.
see that you feel this is an important day, and I'm going to come back to you to challenge some of what you said. But let me hear from the other speakers, starting with JB Mathe from the Congress, because now we are told that the Congress, some Congress leaders are calling it a jumla. You've got Mr. Chidambaram, former finance minister, tweeting that the Women's Reservation Bill is a typical example of the BJP's deceptive politics. The bill mocks the women of India and asks them to wait till the next census. Now, in the morning, everyone was taking credit for the bill, even in the Congress, including Sonia Gandhi, who is going to speak tomorrow. Now, your own leaders of the Congress are saying this is a deceptive Jumla bill.
Rajdeep, I have no hesitation in saying that tabling the Women Reservation Bill is definitely a welcome move, because Congress party has always aspired and believed that women should be given equal platform in parliament and assemblies.
Yes.
But the devil is in the details. If you look at the clause 5 and also the 334A, see the delimitation clause, it says that women reservation will be come into effect after delimitation and after census. When will this delimitation take place? When will the census take place? What is the need to link delimitation and census to women reservation? Proof of the pudding is in the eating. Now they have managed to show the pudding. That pudding is Nari Shakti Vandan Bill. But when will the women of the country get to eat it?
No,
and
but
I
the
wish to
women
say
have been
that this
waiting
is
for
a
25
very,
years, ma'am.
clear
JB
case
Mathe,
of Jumla.
JB Mathe, the women of the country have been waiting for years. When you were in power, you were not able to pass it. You didn't have the numbers. The Prime Minister has the numbers. He's passing it.
When we had the numbers way back, we brought in the Panchayati Raj. That was to turn into reality, and turned into reality, and we have lakhs of women leaders across India. But during UPA time, we had the intent, we had the intention, we had the aspiration. We managed to pass it in Rajya Sabha, but we couldn't pass it in Lok Sabha because we didn't have the numbers. Now BJP has been sitting through for 9.5 years. They could have passed it earlier. Why they didn't do it? They did not even initiate in the last fag, and they come up with this. And I have to say, the Prime Minister is an ardent seller of dreams. Be it 15 lakh in bank account, be it 2 crores jobs per year. And if this is the essence of the bill, this will remain a pipe dream. Because I urge the BJP women MPs to speak tomorrow in Parliament saying that this delimitation clause and the after census clause to be removed, and then the bill to be passed.
Okay.
Because we all want it to happen. We all want to support it wholeheartedly. We believe it.
So
but
you're saying
this is
so the
half-baked jumla.
Okay, you're saying the Congress wants the delimitation clause to be removed. Then you believe this is a true bill. Before I come to Tara and my guest from the JMM, quick word from you, Lalita Kumaramangalam, because JB Mathur is raising a question that many are. It takes the BJP 8-9 years to bring this bill. 2014 to 2023, you had a majority, you could have brought it. You bring it 8 months before the general elections, and then bring it in a manner that it's not going to be implemented right away. So people therefore are asking, is this a jumla?
Rajdeep, I think you're sounding very naive. You need majority in both houses of parliament, not one. There was no point in trying to bring in a bill that everybody may wanted. As I say, everybody wanted across the board, when we did not have majority in the Rajya Sabha. Today, we know that it will be pushed through in the Rajya Sabha too, which is why it has been brought in today. I'm not saying it could have not come a couple of years earlier, or the moment we got the majority in the achieved majority in the Rajya Sabha. But bills also take time to write. Consultations have to be held with various sections of people, and probably that was what held him back. However, I'm not amongst the ones who write it, so you don't need to take my word as fact.
Okay,
but that is probably what happened.
let me bring in just a minute.
To me, unfortunately, it sounds that the Congress is now grabbing excuses to say no to agreeing to the bill tomorrow. Yes, the Congress did introduce it at one time, but they were not able to persuade their allies. Don't forget, Mulayam and Lalu, etc., were their allies when it was passed in the Rajya Sabha. And then, of course, the bill was just jacked because the extreme patriarchy in those parties. And I mean, we can give innumerable examples. There's not enough time today, though. Therefore, it was not passed. Today, it will be passed.
Okay.
As I said before, there may be a slight delay.
Ma'am, I take your point. Let me turn to some of the other ticklish issues. Mahua Maji, you're a Jharkhand Mukti Morcha MP. आप मुझे बताइए, क्या आपकी पार्टी इस बिल का पूरा इसको एंडोर्स करती है या नहीं? क्योंकि हमने पहले देखा हिंदी हार्टलैंड के पार्टीज कहते हैं ओबीसी रिजर्वेशन दो, केवल विमेन रिजर्वेशन नहीं चलेगा, वी वांट रिजर्वेशन विद इन रिजर्वेशन, ओबीसी, एससी, एसटी, इनके लिए। क्या आप इस बिल को कल समर्थन देंगी या नहीं मैम?
देखिए, इस बिल को लेकर हमारी पार्टी हमेशा से मांग उठाती रही है। मैं खुद भी पार्लियामेंट में इस बिल के लिए बोलती रही हूं और अभी ये आ रहा है, इसका स्वागत है। लेकिन हमारा ट्राइबल स्टेट है, आप सभी जानते हैं कि झारखंड में 32 ट्राइब्स रहते हैं और वो महिलाएं जो हैं वो अभी पंचायत चुनाव में बहुत अच्छा कर रही हैं। मुखिया का चुनाव हो, जिला परिषद का चुनाव हो, उसमें अध्यक्ष का पद हो, हर जगह वो चुनकर आ रही हैं। तो ऐसे में अगर महिलाओं का सिर्फ रिजर्वेशन होगा और उसमें एसटी, एससी, ओबीसी का रिजर्वेशन नहीं रहेगा, तो हो सकता है कि आने वाले समय में सिर्फ कुछ पर्टिकुलर अपर क्लास की महिलाएं, चाहे वो किसी भी जाति धर्म की हो, लेकिन जिसके हस्बैंड्स या तो ब्यूरोक्रेट्स हैं या पॉलिटिशियन हैं बड़े या इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट हैं, तो ऐसे लोगों के घर की महिलाएं फिर से पॉलिटिक्स में आएंगी और जो ग्रास रूट लेवल की महिलाएं हैं जो डिजर्व करती हैं, उनके लिए समस्या खड़ी हो जाएगी। इसलिए हम लोग चाहेंगे कि उनके लिए रिजर्वेशन हो।
So you want a quota within a quota? तो आप साफ कह रही नहीं मैडम, आप कह रही है 33% में एक कोटा चाहिए फॉर ओबीसी।
एक बात और कहना चाहूंगी कि हाँ बिल्कुल, और एक बात कहना चाहूंगी कि जिस समय ये इस बिल की घोषणा हुई, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने लोकसभा में बात कही, तो चारों तरफ ये बात गई और खुशी की लहर भी आई। हमारे पास भी, मैं चूंकि झारखंड विमेंस कमीशन की चेयरपर्सन रही हूँ और अपनी पार्टी झारखंड मुक्ति मोर्चा की विमेन विंग की सेंट्रल प्रेसिडेंट भी रही हूँ, तो मेरे पास महिलाओं का फोन आना शुरू हो गया इंटीरियर से, गाँव से, और वो लोग खुश होने लगी कि हम लोग भी इस बार चुनाव लड़ेंगे 2024 में। बहुत खुश थी वो, लेकिन तुरंत जैसे हमें पता चला कि नहीं, ये तो अभी जनगणना होगा, उसके बाद फिर परिसीमन होगा और फिर होगा, इनफैक्ट मुझे लगता है 2029 से पहले ये नहीं होगा, तो वो बहुत मायूस भी हो गई। तो मैं ये कहना चाहूंगी कि माननीय मोदी जी जिस तरह से नोटबंदी की घोषणा 1 मिनट के अंदर कर देते हैं या लॉकडाउन की घोषणा करते हैं, उसी तरह से अगर महिला रिजर्वेशन बिल लाने की घोषणा उन्होंने करना चाह रहे हैं, तो निश्चित रूप से इसे भी तत्काल होना चाहिए, न कि सिर्फ ये एक आप सब बाग दिखाकर।
नहीं, मुझे आपकी बात ओके, सो आई अंडरस्टूड मैम, आई हैव अंडरस्टूड मोस्ट ऑफ द पार्टीज देयरफॉर आर सेइंग, at least from what I can gather, the opposition is saying implement it now, do not wait for a census and delimitation. Interesting, because Tara Krishnaswamy, one of the feelings one got in parliament today, the male MPs are not happy. And therefore, while the Prime Minister has been able to drive the narrative of Nari Shakti, the truth is the male MPs have been given time till 2029 to digest the implications of what happens. Where does that leave it? We are kicking the football, it appears, into the distance. Are you okay with that?
First of all, it's nothing but good news that the Women's Reservation Bill has been tabled. There's no two ways about it. Could it have been tabled sooner? Absolutely. Especially given the delta between the 2008 bill and this is just the delimitation and census. Surely, that didn't take this degree of consultation or warrant a special session necessarily. So it could have been tabled sooner, but here we are. And the fact that it's tabled is a good thing for women. Now, by linking it to delimitation and census, really 2 or 3 things here. One is by linking it to delimitation and census, you're pushing it out. But what you're also doing is comforting the men that the total number of male held seats may not change very much, because if the overall number of seats increase, and men today hold 543 minus about 78, close to 470 seats, they may continue to hold 470 or more seats when the total number of seats increases. So there's a certain degree of pandering to the male child that is happening. But in politics that may well ease the path. What is unclear to me is why they had to wait this long. This could have been initiated, even though they didn't have a Rajya Sabha majority. The consultations could have been initiated ahead of time, so that the bill doesn't have to be tabled this late. The consultations could have happened. We know it's coming. It's not some kind of a surprise, slam that is needed. Now, the credit for the bill, clearly, partly what the BJP wants to do is to reap political capital for tabling the bill without necessarily actually implementing it, because implementing it is going to be a tricky thing. There's a lot of disgruntled male MPs and MLAs, and that's going to affect a lot of parties, including the BJP themselves. So they want to be able to take the political credit for it and defer the implementation to post 2024. And remember that at 50%, women are the largest minority vote bank that you can go after.
But why will they not take credit? The BJP will take credit because the Prime Minister is the one who's pushing it through this time.
That's what I'm saying. The BJP will take political credit for it without implementing it in 2024. While your credit comes ahead of time, the implementation has to wait for another 5 years or 6 years at least. Okay. Who knows? And then what happens between now and then? Now, two more things that I want to say. One is that there is always a reference to OBC quota when it comes to Women's Reservation Bill. Are the men in the parliament not Savarnas? Do you not have an upper caste problem with men? Do you only have it with women? So the OBC quota is orthogonal, just like the SC/ST quota is orthogonal to the gender quota. And if you have an SC/ST quota, you're supposed to give tickets both to male and female SC/STs within that, which you're not doing, which is forcing a fencing of 1/3. Similarly, with the OBC quota, who is SP going to give tickets to? Not to Yadavs? Is JDU not going to give tickets to Kurmis? Are these not OBCs? And Kurmi men are OBCs? Kurmi women are also OBCs? So why is it that the gender quota alone is linked to OBC?
I take your point.
And the final thing I think is credit, which the real credit should go to the female voters, because we have made ourselves into a formidable vote bank that even the Prime Minister today is not able to ignore, because women are voting at a greater percentage than men, number one. Yes. Number two, they're turning the elections in so many constituencies that catering to us, and we are the largest minority at 50%. That political credit is not something he can walk away from. The clever part of it is he is not giving it to us yet, but he wants the political credit.
No, the truth of the matter is I agree with your last point. There is a new M in Indian politics. It used to be Mandir, Market, Mandal. No, it is now Mahila. That's very clear. Mahila is the new M in Indian politics. But JB Mathur, taking up from what I'm hearing, the Prime Minister is going to take credit. Whether it's implemented in 2024 or not, he's going to say Swachh Bharat, Ujjwala, now the Nari, the new Women's Reservation Bill. I am the one who's driving woman power.
That's exactly what I was saying, Rajdeep, earlier, that Prime Minister is an ardent seller of dreams. Now, this time, for this 2024 elections, he is showing women the carrot by saying that we are going to pass this Women Reservation Bill. But does it have the effect? Who are they benefiting? Is the women benefiting is the question. Unless a benefit is received, what is the point of having it? So that is why we are saying that remove that delimitation clause and then have it in place so that
will you support the bill tomorrow with the delimitation clause? I want a direct, Madam, I want a direct answer. Will you support the bill tomorrow with the delimitation clause in, yes or no?
We are very clear that we are supporting Women Reservation Bill because that's something which we have aspired and we have supported.
So you will support it?
Definitely Parliament is the place for debating. So we will debate it, we will debate it because we want that to be a reality. Okay. We don't want it to be a pipe dream for women. We don't want it to be showing a carrot to the women of India. We want them to benefit. We want women to come to the Parliament and to state assemblies not after many years, but as soon as possible. So remove the delimitation clause, because with the delimitation clause and the after census clause, it is very clear that this is yet another jumla of BJP before 2024 elections.
Lalita
and why would we agree
did
for
not
that?
like the
Why
use.
should we stand for
Lalita
that?
Kumaramangalam did not like
the
Ma'am, I take your point. Lalita Kumaramangalam, in conclusion, many of the women who also now are saying without with the delimitation clause, it's a bit of a jumla. It's a carrot. Mr. Modi is offering the carrot to people कि चलो महिलाओं के लिए मैंने इतना किया है. The truth is implementation will be 5 years later. The men will continue to dominate.
Rajdeep, the men have dominated, I don't know for how many centuries. What Tara said is absolutely right. That delimitation will probably be the carrot that has been held out to men to get them to agree. Remember that across, and I said this right in the beginning, that across the board, men are still extremely patriarchal. Politics is a very, very patriarchal field, except for few women, many of whom have come up because of their family connections, etc. You will find that the average ordinary woman, to put that in quotes, has not really been given a fair chance to be able to sit in the biggest decision-making bodies of this country, the assemblies and parliament.
Okay,
exactly.
Let me leave it there. We've lost the video to Lalita Kumaramangalam as she made that important point. The point is, Indian politics has been way too patriarchal for too long. You needed to change it. In that sense, this Women's Reservation Bill will be seen as a step forward. Our political parties failed to give tickets to women, and therefore, you've got to bring in reservation. Remember, at the moment, barely 10-15% of most of our assemblies and parliament have women representatives. India needed change. It's the age of the Mahila. This is Mahila power that deserves credit more than any political party. That's really the message of what's happened in the last few days. Thanks very much to my guests for joining me. Let me turn to my other talking point. Because after giving the diplomatic war now between India and Canada, Justin Trudeau versus Narendra Modi. Today, the Indian government expelled a senior Canadian diplomat hours after the Canadian Prime Minister accused India of murdering a Khalistani terrorist, Rajdeep Singh Nijjar. India has called the charges absurd and motivated. Take a look.
The gloves are off. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Monday announced in Parliament Indian agents could be behind the killing of Canadian citizen Rajdeep Singh Nijjar, a Khalistani terrorist wanted in India.
Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Rajdeep Singh Nijjar.
We've been clear. Canada has expelled an Indian diplomat over what it calls the involvement of a foreign government in its internal affairs. Within hours of Canada's provocation, New Delhi retaliated by expelling a senior Canadian diplomat.
External Affairs Minister, sir, you meet the. You have got. External Affairs Minister.
India has called Canada's accusations absurd and politically motivated to shift the focus from Khalistani terrorists and extremists who are being allowed a free run there.
Phrase which came to my mind was actually a Hindi phrase, which was "Ulta chor kotwal ko dante." I mean, if anybody has a complaint, we have a complaint about Canada. You know, what I said earlier, the space that they're giving to Khalistanis and to violent extremists. So I was very perplexed by what I heard.
Nijjar, whom India had declared a wanted terrorist, was gunned down on June 18 in Surrey. The NIA had issued an arrest warrant for Nijjar, accusing him of carrying out terrorist attacks in India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had taken up the issue of Khalistani extremists getting a voice in Canada in his bilateral meeting with Prime Minister Trudeau in Delhi on the sidelines of G20. Trudeau claims he'd discussed Nijjar's killing with the Indian Prime Minister. Canada had recently suspended negotiations for a free trade agreement with India. With the latest accusations, the already sour diplomatic relations between the two countries have hit a new low. Bureau Report, India Today.
So how should India deal with this latest challenge in a way being thrown by Canada? I'm joined by Ambassador K.C. Singh, former Secretary MEA. Joining me also from Canada is Daniel Boardman, joining me from Toronto. K.C. Singh, to you first. How do you see this playing out? Do you believe that Canada has crossed a certain red line in the way in which they've been seen to be sheltering those accused of being Khalistani terrorists?
Look, Rajdeep, we have to relate what happens in Punjab to what happens in Canada. There's always been a very small element amongst the Sikh diaspora which has carried this fiction in their head of a Khalistan. But Khalistan, if it has to be formed in Punjab. And here essentially from 2015 when the desecration took place. Otherwise, after Blue Star, this had all settled down. Nobody has thought of it. Anandpur Sahib resolution was forgotten. And people who created the resolution were allies of the BJP, the Akali Dal. But 2015 desecration mishandled by the Akalis is the basis of it. And even today, Gurmeet Ram Rahim, look at the way he's handled in Haryana. He's convicted a rapist, a murderer. He gets twice a year, he gets remand out of the jail. And he's treated like a VIP by the Haryana government.
No, but how does that? No, but this is about Mr. K.C. Singh. This is about Canada refusing to accede to Indian requests to extradite Khalistani terrorists. Nijjar was among the list that Amrinder Singh had submitted 2 years ago.
I'll just relate it. So there is this simmering feeling which then starts in Punjab. It is no longer river waters, no longer Chandigarh, no longer land, Punjabi-speaking areas. It's essentially a feeling that the Sikhs are being persecuted because, its religion is not, because the Akali Dal has not been able to handle it. Traditionally, they handled it. And then came the farmers' agitation. And who dubbed them Khalistanis? It's the union government's representatives who calling them Khalistanis at the border. And by the end of it, there was no Khalistan. The farmers of Haryana, Punjab, UP, they worked together. And finally came Amritpal last year. Who allowed Amritpal to operate? He stirred the cauldron in Punjab. So if we don't pay attention to what's happening in Punjab, you keep blaming things they are not going to be able to do anything. Let them hold a referendum there. Let them create a Khalistan in Vancouver, as far as we are concerned. But I agree with you. Trudeau has overplayed his hand. They are talking of credible evidence. What is the evidence? You don't start pointing a finger at a foreign country in the parliament of a nation when you really don't have any proof to show. And then what they could have done is, if they were unhappy with any diplomat, you quietly deport the diplomat, declare him persona non grata. But here he upped the ante. So he obviously playing to his domestic constituency. And their foreign minister begins by saying, I must sympathize with the family of Nijjar, with all the friends. So it's a political game. It's a political game here, it's a political game there.
Let me hold you for a moment, because Daniel Boardman, is that what it is there in Toronto, a political game? You've got Mr. Trudeau, who's dependent on some of these more extreme elements for his political future, his political existence. He's playing to the gallery. He has in a way been seen to almost flirt with these elements.
Yeah, this is Justin Trudeau's MO. There have been reports. Listen, I personally know of staffers, so not elected officials, but I know people who have told me staffers of high-ranking Liberal officials are open Air India conspiracy theorists. They think the Indian government blew up the plane. So I know those people exist within the Liberal Party. They're in a coalition with the NDP. We all know Jagmeet Singh's views on Khalistan. He's not allowed in your country. So you could say, yeah, vote bank politics. They want the Khalistani vote, or the money running through the Khalistanis and this and that. And to an extent, that might be true. I think you're also underestimating the sort of ideological element to Justin Trudeau that we live with here. Justin Trudeau might not be the smartest man in the world, but he does believe what he thinks. He does, he does do what what his ideology purports, and it is this sort of intersectional leftism. I think the global term we would all understand would be woke, and for whatever reason, under wokeness or intersectionality, India or Hindu loses to Khalistani or Muslim Brotherhood. So there is this anti-Indian element within the academia, within our experts, in the same way the anti-Israel stuff manifests here in the West too. So I do think his inner circle is sort of these we'll say left-wing academic intersectional types who have these sort of warped views of India and all these India conspiracies. So I think this does sort of influence his decision-making, because I don't believe for a second this is about Canadian national security, because we've seen evidence recently of Chinese foreign diplomats in Canada. It's a huge scandal where there's a Chinese diplomat threatening the family of a sitting Canadian official. And the evidence comes out. We have the evidence. And it took the Liberals over a week. And we had to scream at them through Twitter and YouTube and everything to get them to kick this diplomat out. And they finally did it. And this was with public evidence. The entire country had to get behind Trudeau and force him to kick him out. And now with no public evidence, we're going to start a fight with one of our geopolitical allies, the biggest democracy in the world. This is insanity.
Okay, those are very strong words. This is insanity, what Justin Trudeau is doing, playing to his gallery. It's also playing with fire, many would say. We had limited time on that. We'll, of course, come to these discussions, hopefully with Daniel and Casey on another day. But I appreciate both of you giving us your immediate comments on what's happened there in Canada. Just about enough time to bring you a good news today story. There's always good news in this wonderful country. Today's good news is about a group of underprivileged students, some of them the children of day laborers belonging to various government schools in Andhra Pradesh, who have got a remarkable opportunity this month to address the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Conference in New York. Their story is our Good News Today story. Take a look.
This is my first trip to US. Participating in the SDG summit.
This is the first time to sit in United Nations General Assembly Hall.
A 10-member student delegation from Andhra Pradesh is in the United States for 2 weeks.
Hi, hello. We are here at United Nations headquarters, New York. We are representing Andhra Pradesh.
My father's name is C. Dastagiri. He is a lorry driver.
My father's name is G. Gopi and he is a farmer.
The children from underprivileged families have been invited to address the United Nations Sustainable Development Conference in New York. The students say it is a golden opportunity for them. As a part of the tour, these students are attending seminars at institutions like United States, World Bank, US Department of State and Columbia University.
We had a session about climate change. We had a discussion on with other country students who are like us about the environment changes in their areas and in our area also.
I am very glad to be here at the Columbia University. I had also participated in the Eco Ambassador program and I had spoken about the women empowerment in the discussions, and also we made discussions with the new people from different countries. I am very excited for the further trips we had in this New York trip.
And we are very happy and feeling proud to represent Andhra Pradesh in this United Nations.
The highlight of their tour will be a visit to the White House.
Reforms the topmost priority.
The main objective of this international tour is to give meritorious children from Andhra Pradesh a global platform to learn, discuss and share new ideas with the world. Bureau Report, India Today.